It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back, welcome back. Joseph James, School of Trade, Sideways Markets. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. It is Monday, July 14th, 2014, the 14th day of the 7th month of 2014. Hope you guys had a great summer weekend. We had some footballing happen, some World Cup championships. Boy, congratulations to Germany. I'll tell you, Argentina really put up a pretty darn good fight. What an incredible World Cup we had this year. Hope you guys enjoyed that with your family and friends. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. We're back to the trading here today. Today was a summertime Monday, so we had a little bit of a sleepy start to it, but tell that to the E-minis. They were jumping overnight in the London session. We'll talk about all of that here. We got 3 things to cover today. First thing, we'll talk about what happened today. Second thing, we'll talk about what the schedule looks like for tomorrow. And then third, we're going to roll up our sleeves. We're going to grab all the charts for crude, gold, Russell, and we're going to make sure that everyone is prepared, whether price goes higher, lower, or sideways. By the end of tonight's newsletter, you will be fully prepared for whatever this market throws at you going into this evening and into Tuesday morning. All righty, you're ready to rock and roll? Seatbelts on, helmet fastened. Seatbelts on, helmet fastened. Yeah, that works. Okay, let's get right into it. Now, before we jump into charts here this morning, I want to remind you that if you're not over here at sidewaysmarkets.com, what are you waiting for? This is where the party's going on over here. If you're watching this video on our YouTube page right now or anything else besides our blog, there's a link below the video. If you're watching on YouTube, click that link. It'll take you right over to sidewaysmarkets.com, and there are 3 reasons why I want you guys to come over and join me here at the blog. First reason, below the video here tonight, you can download all of my charts for tomorrow. If you're a member at SchoolOfTrade.com, we're going to use those charts tomorrow morning as our roadmap, so be aware of that. So right now, pause the video, click on that link below the video, download all those charts for tomorrow. All right, I'm talking to you too, absolutely. Pause the video, download the charts. That way you're ready for tomorrow's trade room. And then, upper left-hand corner, it is absolutely a pleasure to invite you to come out and join me in my trade room this afternoon, this week. All right, any afternoon this week, I get a special free pass for you guys to come out and join me in my live trade room. Take me up on that offer, guys. You're going to learn more in that trade room in a few hours with me than you've learned anywhere else on the web. And I'll prove it to you. All you need is your name and your email address, and I'll send you a free pass into our trade room. Last but not least here, third thing, if you're a fan of my newsletter, right, or maybe you're just watching here and you want to get that newsletter delivered to your inbox, give me your name and your email address, and I'll send you our nightly newsletter every evening before 8 o'clock. No more watching the YouTube page, reloading the blog. I'll send you a heads up as soon as we finish the newsletter every evening, Monday through Thursday before 8 o'clock. Alrighty? 3 things here. Download the charts, grab the free pass, and register for our nightly newsletter mailing list. Alrighty? I warned you. Let's get started here. Roll those sleeves up. Let's rock and roll. Starting here first with that funny yellow metal. And I'll tell you, boy, last time we saw each other, it was Thursday evening, and we had just got this little bit of perkiness, right? A little bit of a pulse up top there. Sure enough, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in, right? It tries to go higher, and whoo, watch out, we collapse back down. Now, if you recall, I've been saying this for weeks, possibly months now. There's no reason for this gold to be propped up like this. There's no concerns. The world is still spinning, I think, on its axis, right? I think on the sun. But the bottom line is, though, all these crises that keep coming out everywhere, they're not really crises. They're just news headlines, right? And so we're wondering here, what is going on here with gold? The economy's pushing higher. Right, we're seeing rebounds in retail and jobs. We're seeing rebounds in housing, right? We got good inflation right now. What the hell is going on here with this gold? Now, as you can see today, completely pulled a U-turn. And of course, as a day trader, I don't care what direction we're going in. It is kind of nice to cheer gold going lower, right? Kind of like crude. If it goes lower, it usually means we got more money in our pockets here, at least as Americans here in the U.S. But we know, though, that this big range day today, remember, big range day today, that's usually going to tell us tomorrow's likely to be a more narrow day. Now, this is the old school gold, right? We've only had a few of these big range days over the past few months, right? The problem has been, though, we get this one big day on gold, and then it goes kind of narrow. And then one more big day. Hopefully we can put 2 days back together, right? Hopefully we can get 2 days back to back. But wouldn't that be nice? Big ranges here on gold. As you can see, we are hunting for that 1,300. We get a big round number here at 1,300. So be aware, that's the magnet right now here on gold. Boy, I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew exactly why gold was going up, going down. It's part of being a professional trader. We really don't care about why. I focus on where and when. As of right now, this appears to be, well, we get a close here, barely, right? Look a little bit closer to this daily candle, and you can see here we just about at those lows. So don't be surprised if we prop right back up and this becomes your sideways range here. Bottom line is, though, we got a big down day today on gold. Didn't close at the lows, but definitely bearish here. But on this daily chart, it looks like this could be just a pullback, right, on the overall upward movement towards that 61.2. I've got resistance overhead, 61.2. I got support below at 93.5. This could, again, still be more of the same slop and chop here. But if you're looking for the strategy for tomorrow, look no further, my friends. We made it below all the key moving averages here today, right? Just tumbled here on gold today. I've got sell zones right now. I can't say we're bearish, that's for sure. Now we know we got some support down there at 1,300, right, which is just around the corner. So what I'll be doing is looking for selling opportunities here. 13.14, 13.16, 13.16.2. I got 19.7. I got 24.5, right? Those should be enough to tide us over for tomorrow. And then, of course, my targets down here, I've got to take some profit off at 1,300. And I've got 93.5, 85.1, and 80.9. Members, listen up here. 85.1 is a prior reversal line. You can zoom out on this chart if you want, members, and see that prior reversal line there. So that will definitely be a target, and it will be the strongest of all of the support levels below us right now, that 85.1. All right. So we got sell zones here on gold, looking to get short here on the gold, and then you can see here as we scale down on this thing to faster time frames, as you can see here, I've got additional selling areas here, 13.12.8. I got 13.13.4, 13.16. I've got 19.7, 22 even, 21.6. So basically all of these areas here overhead, starting with that 12.8, 13.4, 19.7, 21.6, all of these areas are going to be spots where we can now look to sell. I've got targets waiting for me here at 13.02, 12.99.6, and 92.9. Again, that 1,300, that big round number just above that final target, as you can see there. So be aware, 1,300 will definitely be the price magnet. And what I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for gold here to make its way into this area here so I can then sell it short, right? Very, very simple and very effective. One thing you get here, though, is you can definitely see how close we are to this 1,300. All right, so don't be surprised if this thing just rolls over and plays dead here. All right, if it does, it's very difficult for us to pinpoint any easy selling opportunities besides just anywhere we can clamor to get into this thing. All right, I'm looking to sell at a premium, as I always do, and that, of course, premium at 12.8. Again, right, I'm not going to repeat myself one more time here, but you guys get the point here. So on gold, gold finally collapses off the highs. We're headed towards that 1,300, and really all we're waiting on right now is to get a retracement into these sell zones so I can get to selling on that funny yellow metal. Moving forward here now, over from the funny yellow metal here to the mighty mini Russell, or as we call, right, affectionately, the Rusty. One of my favorite, not one of my favorites, my favorite E-mini. while the rest of the market seemed to be going bonkers here. We see some consistency here in the Russell. I'll tell you though, this Russell is in very bad shape here right now. If you got small children, you might want to ask them to leave the room. There's going to be some ugliness on these charts here for the next few moments. I'm having fun with you, obviously, but still, I'm not kidding though, right? Pretty ugly stuff. So we have the buyers here trying, right, on the daily chart. Last week, we saw profit taking last Monday. We collapse all the way to the downside, all the way to the low of this channel. We bounce off the reversal line. Clearly a lot of support here at the 1150 area. And now we're stuck. Now I want you to take a look at this because there's a lot of clues hidden inside the daily candlesticks today. And you know, people always ask me, why do I use different types of charts? And I tell them because the daily charts or time-based charts, there's a lot of wisdom inside those candlesticks, right? Telling me a doji, right? Or a hammer, inverted hammer, right? There's a lot of wisdom inside of those candlesticks. So I'm going to use time-based charts, right? This could be minute, they could be hour, they could be second, doesn't matter to me. But time-based charts, they give me what I call wisdom, right? There's a lot of wisdom inside of those candlesticks. If you want a great book to read, I would check out the book by Steve Nissen on Japanese candlestick reading. It's really kind of the blueprint that everybody else has worked off of. All right, very, very educational, and you'll really learn about where the candlesticks actually began. You'll learn about Osaka, Japan, and how the motto of Osaka, Japan is to make a profit, and that's where candlesticks were born, about rich rice farmers that began basically the futures industry as we know it. It's a great book. It gives a lot of the history behind candlesticks, and I feel like it's probably the best foundation for you to be able to understand candles. Then the rest of them, right, I use the old JJ bars, right, or Renko or range bars because those give me those very easy to see patterns, right? They're very easy to spot, those patterns that we see, right, on those Renko bars or the JJ bars or the range bars, right? So I look for patterns, right, on the range-based charts, right? They're kind of range-based. They don't use time, they use range. Now, believe it or not, I used to beg NinjaTrader 10 years ago to add range charts. Nobody used range charts. I was the one that begged them to add them. And of course, nowadays, every single one of the charting packages, I'll tell you, if they don't have range based candlesticks, you need a new charting package. All right, get away from the My Little Pony charting package. Right, if you were south of the border here in the U.S., they would call that Mickey Mouse. Right, the Mickey Mouse charting packages. Right, make sure you got more than just tick and time. Anyways, back to my old Rusty, my dear friend, the Rusty today, and now that you know more about why I use these candles, look what's happened. First of all, take a peek right here. Look at this last daily candle, right? So the big wick. Okay, big wick on that one, right? That was last week. Now look at the wick this time. What direction the wick's going in? Opposite directions, right? What happened in between? Doji, baby. Who are you calling a doji, man? So we got the, right, big wick at the bottom, big wick at the top. All right, and of course, a doji, right? Doji was my nickname in middle school, believe it or not. Yeah, no joke. I'm kidding with you. Let's keep going. So we see here that we have those big wick at the bottom, big wick at the top, right? And of course, you've got your doji right in the middle. That tells you right then and there what these candlesticks tell us. I can tell you right now what's happened. Balanced. B, right? Capital B, balanced. Big wicks, doji in the middle. Yep. Today the buyers tried, but the buyers failed. Now, this daily chart is really all I need, so I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Well, okay, let's do some more work here together. But I'm telling you right now, though, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff here. We're stuck between two key moving averages, right? You know, again, just it's not looking too pretty here for the Russell. Something's got to change here soon for this Rusty, because if it doesn't, well, if it doesn't, we'll be sitting here all week. Here's my 32 anchor. And you can see here, like I said, completely balanced. Above the short term, below the long term, and then the levels above and below are just stacked. I got sell zone, sell zone, sell zone, buy zone, buy zone, buy zone. It's like, where are we going to end up going here? It's very difficult for me to give you any real strong direction right now. If I had to guess, you can see we got a little bit of a whiff of a bullishness right now, but guys, we know that from last week, that just when you think, right, yeah, here was a little whiff of bullishness right there, and then all of a sudden, what? Right? Remember that little bank in Portugal, right? That one bank in Portugal that all hell break loose? Yeah, well, supposedly today's jump early was because the Bank of Portugal is back on track now. Are you kidding me right now? I love it when somebody says, Joe, one thing moved the market today. Really, one thing, huh? That must have been a pretty darn important bank, huh? Right. Doesn't exactly happen that way. Boy, wouldn't that be easy, right? Just find one big news event and that's all that matters. Not the case. So they tried to tell us last week that this move lower was some bank in Portugal, right? Here was the profit taking. I call it no major news. I call it no reason to be buying right now. That's what I called it, but what do I know, right? I'm a lonely little day trader. Here we are, though, stuck in the mud right now. Now, one of the things I can see here, though, is that if we do get a pullback here to the low of this channel, that would be the ideal right now, guys. That would be the ideal here. 51.9. 55.4, that would really be, it looks like there's a reversal line there as well. So I'm leaning towards the bullish side, right? I'm not just because I'm a good patriotic citizen here rooting for the equities, but I definitely do think here that unless we get something else that comes out of nowhere, another crisis, right, that rips the headlines, well, we should keep pushing higher here as we go in. Now, stay tuned because I'm going to talk more about what might be on the headlines, wink, wink, nod, nod, right? My gal Yellen, she's going to be on the microphone later on this week, so we may be hearing from her, or we may be hearing more headlines about the E-mini. So hold on tight to that. Before we jump in, though, I want to show you what I'm looking at here for tomorrow. Okay, so here's what I'm looking at. Russell pushing higher right now. It looks a little confused. It does. It looks a little bit confused. We got some lower highs. We got some higher lows. But I'll tell you, though, it looks like all we need is a nudge right now. I think we could go either way, all right? The big thing here is that we got this reversal line. We're above the long-term moving average. If we can get above that short-term moving average, we are going to be good to go here, pushing higher. But that has been no small feat. That's been something that the Russell's really been struggling with this week, has been really getting away from this area. Look back here, right? Here's a good example of it. We tried to get above it earlier, got sucked back down in, right? Tried to go lower, nope, sucked right back in. Tried to go higher, not so fast, sucked back in. So what you want to remember is right now we've got to be above all the key moving averages before we can be too aggressive on these buys. What I'm looking for here now is, as you can see, we just tested that 60.1, the 57.7 that was on the previous chart, right? So we know that right now we've got a green light here once we get one higher high here. I'd like to get above this 62 area. Right, that would really be where I like to get here. Get a little higher high there and start looking at those wave patterns going long right now on the Russell. Line in the sand, though, is right now we get below that 57.7. If we end up tumbling back down here, this all changes now. And that's the unfortunate truth here. I'm going to give it one more. Back up, rewind the tape. I don't know what happened to me. It's a Monday here. Line in the sand here, 49.9. I got in my notes here. Sorry about that. So we got two options here. One, buying now, or two, waiting to buy at that 54.3. If we get below this 49.9, though, now we're off to the races to the downside. All right, so right now, very difficult for me to be too confident about direction right now. All I can say is I'll be checking personality tomorrow morning. And don't forget, if you need a real-time update on this, if you want me to give you real-time entries and exits, just come in and join me in the trade room. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I'll open the trade room up. We'll take a look at what we have in front of us. We'll see where we are, what the personality is ahead of the opening bell at 9:30, and we'll make an educated decision as far as what our direction is right now. All right, again, I'm going to err on the side of caution here right now and say be careful, but at the same time, looks confused. But if I had to guess direction right now, I would guess higher. If I had to guess direction, I would guess higher. Now, one more thing here. Again, we're going to talk more about the rest of the week here, and that has a little bit to do with why I say I'm going to guess higher here. Because I think that my gal Yellen is going to fan that flame for the E-minis. We'll have to wait and see for sure, but I think that's going to be the case tomorrow. Again, gut tells me to go higher, but right now technicals tell me I would like to get a little bit of a push higher here before we start getting this thing to go higher. One more time, if you want real-time updates, if you want exact entries, come see me tomorrow morning in my live trade room, and I'll walk you right through it. But right now, balanced with a slight tone of bullishness. Wrapping up here on the crude oil futures, the black gold, the Texas T, one of my favorite markets, that's for sure. The CL, now we are going to have rollover on crude to the 914 towards the end of this week. All right, the 18th is this Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if we roll over on Friday. If not, it'll be next Monday, okay? So don't say I didn't warn you. Crude rollover on Friday would mean we're sharing volume on crude on Friday. I'll keep reminding you about that throughout the rest of the week here, so keep tuning in. Moving forward here, though, on the daily chart. Now, this looks like a very good thing, but this is going to be trouble for crude. We've got major support here right on top of that big round number of $100 a barrel. This has disaster written all over it this week on crude. It really does. It's got slop and chop. It's got range bound. It's got padded sell. Put me in the straitjacket. Drive me crazy price action if this thing doesn't get the heck away from this area fast. And here's why. First of all, we're at the low of this big bull channel. We get a very, very narrow range today, right? Big move down last week. Very narrow range so far this week. They're going to be churning this area because this is going to be major support. I got major support, but look closely at the support level, guys. Look closely here. I've got the $100 a barrel. That's one. I've got the 200 moving average, the BMT. That's two. I've got a buy zone here. That's three. This could be as ugly as gold was last week, sitting inside that sell zone at the highs. Because what's going to happen is the $100 a barrel is going to be a big, big magnet. Okay, the BMT, the thick yellow line, that's going to be a big magnet. Both of those on top of each other, OPEX week, Janet Yellen, yikes, right? Again, it could get stuck right here for quite a while. You got to be aware, 100 is no joke. All right, if we don't know where we're going next, we're going to come back to 100 again. So if we don't have confidence, right, about Ukraine, about Iraq, about who knows what, if they're lacking confidence, they're going to be stuck in the mud around this 100. Now you can see here, if we do tumble, I can go right to that 97.88, 97.75 pretty darn fast. If we jump higher, right, if there's more news headlines about another crisis, right, in the Middle East, we'll go to the 103.84. So we know there's going to be potential for a move here, but what I'm watching for tomorrow is I'm watching to see, with rollover on the way, with inventories on Wednesday, and with this being an OPEX week, it's easy for me to speculate that we might be stuck in the mud here. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, but you can see why. Now, moving forward here, we definitely have a bearish trend. So this is the real big concern, right? We have all of this support sitting here, the big round number, right? The 200 moving average. We get the buy zone. We get the channel lows. All of this support, it's just enough support here to cause this thing to be really, really challenging. So you know me, the easiest way to be protected, the easiest way to be a responsible trader, the easiest way to put the odds on your side is to sell at a premium and buy at a discount. We're now at a discounted price after a nice big run over the past 72 hours, and now I'm waiting simply for a retracement into 101.55 102.18, 103.33, 103.83. These are the sell zones where I'm going to be looking for the easy money. I'm looking for price to go short at 101.55. I've got symmetry there. I've got reversal line there. If that one doesn't hold, I'll re-look at it again at 102.18. And again, you know where my targets are, right? Going down to that $100 a barrel, as well as the targets I gave you, 97.75, right off that daily chart. So sell zones here, 101.55, 102.18, 103.33, 103.83. That's where I'm looking to get short. How about some more details? More details for you. Here's a faster anchor chart. We can see we got that $100 a barrel, right? That price magnet. We are all the way down at the lows of these ranges. I'm looking for price to get up to that. There's that 101.55. I've got 101.61, 101.94. We've got 102.21. 102.41, and we got 102.68. And then if for some reason we get back above 103 tomorrow, wouldn't surprise me. I don't think it's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me. We'll then be looking for buying opportunities here above that 103. So right now on crude, my biggest problem is staying patient right now, waiting for this price to get up into that area so I can then look for it to then return back to its downward trend and sell this thing down to that $100 per barrel. Now, guys, don't be surprised if we just slop and chop here, gravitate towards 100, pop back up, back down. All right, guys, so once again, come and see me tomorrow morning. If we're slopping and chopping, we're going to be looking to buy lows and sell highs using that $100 a barrel as our target. All right, things get very, very messy when not the other messy, right? This messy with a Y, not with an I. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right, so if it gets a little bit messy down there, you football fans out there, anyways. I can't take myself seriously here this evening. That was a horrible joke. Now, if we have the $100 a barrel, if we open tomorrow morning at 100, you take those hands and you sit on them. All right, if we open tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at $100 a barrel, you take those hands. I don't care if you need duct tape, all right, whips, chains, yo-yos. Oh, that's right. That was in the chat room. But anyways, $100 a barrel tomorrow. Be careful, all right? If we find ourselves opening tomorrow morning at $100 a barrel, be careful, all right? Range-bound market. What I'm hoping for is, boy, wouldn't it be just a gift from the trading gods if we got this thing all the way up to 101.55? It would be a dream come true here, looking for that short, right? Nice $1,500 per contract, just begging you to sell short, all right? That's my strategy for crude, gold, and the rusty. Before we say goodbye, though, don't forget about tomorrow's news. Count them up here, first of all. Count them up. 1, 2, 3. This is the third week of the month. The first day of the month was not a Friday, so we have the third Friday of the month. That means Friday, July 18th, is the OPEX day this week, or this month, I should say. We know that that's only going to affect us Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we get a free pass tomorrow. Okay, no worries about that tomorrow. But we've got a lot on this calendar this week. I talked about rollover, right? Mark your calendar for Friday for rollover on crude oil. Okay, that's it. Just got crude rollover on Friday. And again, it may not roll over on Friday. It may be Monday. But if it's not Friday, it's going to be sharing volume, right? What we call sharing volume between the 08 and the 09. Either way you slice it, it's going to be challenging on Friday because of OPEX anyways. But if it's sharing volume, if you got half the volume on the 8, half the volume on the 9, just be aware it's going to be very low volume on Friday. So it might be a good day to grab maybe a lounge chair, a beach blanket, some sunblock, and a hat, right, into the beach if you're a crude trader. Okay, be aware of that. Tuesday, July 15th, that's up next. Now, just a heads up here, guys. We've got Janet Yellen on Tuesday and Wednesday. I've got the Senate Banking Committee on Tuesday and the House Committee on Financial Services. I'll bet they're a bunch of party animals. The House Committee on Financial Services. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I'll bet they're late for curfew every Friday night. Absolutely. Batten down the hatches. The House Committee on Financial Services is here. The party animals. I'll bet they're almost as bad as that Senate Banking Committee. Jeez Louise. I'll bet they really are party animals. You know when they lock the door in the library, those librarians go bonkers. I'll bet they do. But the reality is, though, we get Janet Yellen at 10 o'clock on both days. Now, remember, Janet loves, she's my gal. She loves to get these markets moving. Now, see, Bernanke, I like Yellen so much more than Bernanke because Bernanke would always talk in code, right? He would dance around it. I'm so much smarter than you, right? It was almost like he had something to prove at all times. He looked all upset all the time. Janet Yellen, she just tells you what's on her mind, which means everybody just reacts to it. So keep an eye out around Ms. Yellen, right, my gal. Keep an eye out around 10 o'clock on Tuesday, Wednesdays, because you're probably going to see some reaction to her, right? She's definitely somebody who believes in transparency and communicating with the open market. So God bless her. God bless her. Now, looking at the news here, starting with tonight, 9:30 p.m., coming out of the Aussie. That will then lead into news out of the Swissy at 3:15. But the big news here isn't until 4 o'clock and 4:30 tomorrow morning. I've got Italian CPI, Great Britain CPI, right, and producer price index here, all at 4 o'clock and 4:30 tomorrow morning. So you've got some great news to kickstart your morning tomorrow morning in Europe. All right, now, I can't imagine there's much more than a bunch of Steins being drunk in Germany about this time of the day here, right? Because tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., hopefully they've come down off cloud 9 from winning the World Cup. And, of course, those crazy Germans will have their ZEW. Now, the ZEW is a really important news report. It's one of the only business surveys. It's a confidence report, but for businesses, kind of like our consumer confidence here, right, and all the consumer surveys we have in the U.S. That's a really important report. Germany, of course, being one of the larger economies in the EU, so be aware of that tomorrow morning. We got same-store sales at 745. It's not much of a mover there, but the big news tomorrow is retail sales, all right? This will be the headline news tomorrow if you don't include Janet Yellen at 10 o'clock. Retail sales. Why would retail sales be the headline news tomorrow? Well, remember, retail sales are a lagging indicator for consumer confidence, but they're a leading indicator to things like housing, right? Obviously, if consumers are confident, they're going to go to the mall. If they're really confident, they're going to go to their realtor, right, and buy a home. Okay? If they got money in their pocket, they go to the shopping malls. If they have a job, right, they're confident about, they're going to go buy a home. So we know tomorrow's retail sales probably going to be the big news of the morning. And at 8:30 in the morning, that means rise and shine, ladies and gents. You better be ready for that party to kick off with a bang bright and early tomorrow morning in the U.S. session. Not to mention, maybe we forgot about the stellar jobs report we got first week of the month too. So if that jobs report was really as strong as it looked like it was, that means those retailers should be seeing very robust retail sales, and we'll be watching that tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. We get some other news here too besides retail sales. We get the Empire State Manufacturing. We get, of course, the import-export prices, all that comes out at 8:30. We'll be looking at the retail sales. That's a headline number. We're looking to hop, skip, and jump down to business inventories at 10 o'clock. That will take a definite backseat, though, to Janet Yellen. You'll probably be able to get the live feed of her commentary on like C-SPAN or, go to Google. You'll find it there. But we know, though, 10 o'clock, though, will be probably, besides retail sales, will be the big news of the morning. Then, nothing else tomorrow afternoon. We're going to hop, skip, and jump down to our buddies down under. We've got, of course, the Kiwis. They got the Consumer Price Index. Then we go to China here tomorrow night. We got big news out of China tomorrow, which means Wacky Wednesday, the Wednesday of OPEX, is going to be very, very wacky, reacting to the news coming out of China. All right, guys? Don't say I didn't warn you. You got a ton of news here coming out tomorrow. You got news at 4 o'clock, 4:30, 8:30. I got 10 o'clock. And again, remember that Janet Yellen speech, she's probably going to be moving things around. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. That's why I keep saying, if I had to guess right now, I'll bet Yellen takes out that fan and just fans those equities right back to their all-time highs. All right. If she doesn't, get ready for it to tumble. We shall see. You know where I'll be. I'll be in my live trade room tomorrow morning and the rest of the week with all of our students here at School of Trade. And I would encourage you to come out and join us here, whether it be on the free pass or join our free trial. I would love to show you guys how we take all this information and we make profit from it. We have lifetime memberships, 3 levels of memberships, guys. We have been around for over 10 years here at School of Trade. And guys, we must be doing something right if we've been in business that long. Let me prove it to you. Don't take my word for it. Join the free trial. Call us here in the office, or come out and join me tomorrow in the trade room on a free pass, or as a member at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'll see you guys in the trade room. Looking for selling opportunities here on Crude, buying opportunities on the Russell. Who the hell knows where gold's going? We're going to be looking for selling opportunities on gold, though. And tomorrow we're going to hear from retail sales and my gal, Janet Yellen. Now, have a fantastic afternoon. Have a great evening. Thanks for being a part of the newsletter, and we'll see you tomorrow. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.